As a lover of 2000s pop rock music, All Time Low has always been one of my favorite groups. In my opinion, they have the perfect mixture of headbanging instrumentation, cathartic lyrics, and unforgettable pop melodies. Their early discography is stacked with some of the definitive pop rock records of the late 2000s and early 2010s. While most of their projects were generally well received, there is one album that fans seem to be very split on during this time. Released in June 2011, Dirty Work is the group's fourth album. Even though nowadays people have warmed up to it, it was met with controversy back when it dropped for seemingly being a mainstream sellout album. But was this criticism warranted, or was this album simply done dirty? In 2009, All Time Low dropped their third record, Nothing Personal, and it was their biggest album to date, selling over 60,000 copies in its first week and peaking at number 4 on the Billboard 200. Nothing Personal was a huge success, and it seemed like the band would be getting even more exposure and radio play thanks to its popularity. However, the band encountered difficulties in getting this exposure since they were signed to Hopeless Records, a smaller indie label. It seemed like they were getting to a level of success a smaller label simply couldn't deal with. This would lead to the group leaving Hopeless and signing with major record label Interscope. This is where the controversy with Dirty Work began. Signing over to a huge label like this, after coming from relatively humble beginnings, would lead to fans saying the group was selling out, and that their brand of edgier pop punk would be traded in for a more refined, widely appealing, cleaner sound. In hindsight, it's easy to see these concerns may have been a little dramatic, but this was the feeling that many fans had at the time. Their last record had already leaned very far into the pop side of pop punk, so would being on Interscope mean they'd have to further sacrifice the style they were known for? Well, fans got their answer with the lead single from Dirty Work, I Feel Like Dancin', and it wasn't exactly reassuring. A satirical piece commenting on contemporary musical trends, I Feel Like Dancin' was met with backlash among fans for its overtly silly lyrics and generic radio-friendly sound. Of course, not everyone hated it, but it did rub certain people the wrong way, since it was playing into the idea of the group being a sellout. This can be seen in the video especially, which satirizes the pop culture of the time. Even though the song was clearly a parody, it probably wasn't the best idea as a lead single, given the general sentiment around the band's move to Interscope. Dropping a polished party record like this, with references to Kesha and getting crunk, was most likely gonna rub some longtime fans the wrong way. I love this song for how comical and genuinely entertaining it is, but I do get the criticism it received. Unfortunately, things behind the scenes hadn't been going well either. While Interscope gave the band plenty of resources, major restructuring within the company led to the team working on the album either getting fired or moved. The group now had a new team, who reportedly didn't understand their style. Again, All Time Low was from a small label, so navigating how to work within a major label with executives who want a specific image from their artists couldn't have been easy. This led to numerous delays for the record, which was reportedly ready for release in January. Even though it never had an official release date, it was expected to drop sometime in early 2011. When it finally did drop in June 2011, it was a success, peaking at number 6 on the Billboard 200 with 43,000 copies sold. However, this did represent a decline from their first week sales of Nothing Personal, and despite there being 3 more singles, the record didn't reach the same heights of their previous era. In theory, this could have been their biggest album to date. They had the backing of Interscope Records behind them, the same label behind powerhouses like Lady Gaga and Eminem. However, their perceived image change alienated fans, and their new work environment simply wasn't a good fit for them. It wasn't an ideal situation, both externally and internally, leading to the album's relative underperformance. The band would end up leaving Interscope by the end of 2011 and signing back to Hopeless for their next album, Don't Panic, which was seen as a welcome return to form by fans. Dirty Work would end up either being ignored or hated by much of the group's fanbase for many years, though in recent times many fans have seemed to come around on it, and newer fans of the band often cite it as a favorite. It's easy to see why, because Dirty Work seriously rocks. Looking past all the label drama and fan backlash, this record is filled with some of the best all-time Low songs they've ever recorded. From the massive power pop choruses of Time Bomb and Under a Paper Moon, the bombastically snarky attitude of Heroes, and the instantly recognizable opening guitar riff of Do You Want Me Dead, Dirty Work is jam-packed with memorable moments that make it their most extravagant record to date. Forget About It is a favorite of mine, with its hilariously petty lyrics, stupidly catchy verses, and scream-along chorus, making it one of the best songs to jam out to. It reminds me of a song that would be in the Sonic the Hedgehog game. I don't know why, it just gives me that vibe. It also has the best bridge on the album. If you know, you know. Dirty Work may be sonically overblown, but it's also lyrically intimate, with much of the subject matter revolving around escapism and insecurity. The song Guts is an obvious standout for me. Not only is it a great one to listen to, but its lyrics about letting go of everything that holds you down and finding the confidence to speak up for yourself are truly inspiring. I always thought of it as the spiritual sequel to Walls from their last album, since that song was also about personal growth and letting go of your hesitation. The song No Idea is another personal one, as it was written about a previous relationship lead singer Alex Gaskarth had, and how he could only revisit that person in his dreams. I've cried to this song many times. The pre-chorus where he sings "I just wanna breathe until I take you in" always makes me tear up. And the song is so beautifully written. It was actually based on the scene from the movie Inception, and thank God it's not as confusing as that movie. Maybe it's because I saw it when I was 12 years old, but I had no damn clue what was happening in that. Overall, Dirty Work is a remarkably strong record that blends themes of escapism, relationships, and finding your inner confidence with heavy power pop and rock production. I can understand why fans at the time were put off by the image change, but this album is honestly no less rock heavy than their previous one. If anything, Nothing Personal leaned way more into the pop side of things. I just think the marketing of this album may have been confusing. I mean, look at this cover and tell me it doesn't scream 2011. Despite that, I really don't think the bulk of Dirty Work sounds like the popular music of the time. It still retains All Time Low's goofily fun and brash spirit. This is one of the best albums to put on when you just need to scream along with something. Even though it has some slower moments, it's a mostly unrelenting, fast-paced record that feels like a pure adrenaline shot. It's easily my second favorite All Time Low album, behind Nothing Personal, of course. It's a shame this era was so messy, because under different circumstances, it could have smashed. I do think I feel like Dancin' shouldn't have been the lead single though. It was a little too abrasive to start off the new era with. I think Time Bomb or Forget About It would have been better decisions, but we'll never really know. All Time Low has done well since Dirty Work, with a loyal fanbase behind them supporting their releases to this day. While everything surrounding this album may have been a mess, Dirty Work is still an amazing record, and I'm glad to see it getting love nowadays. Now if only people would come around to Last Young Renegade.